I have never seen a president host an awards show before. This is the time I have seen something like this. I think they will give me reviews, right? You know they will say, he was horrible, he was terrible, it was a situation. No, I think we will do fine. I have watched some of the people who host, like Jimmy Kimmel. He was not very good. Some of these people, if I cannot do better than Jimmy Kimmel, then I do not think I should be president. As people laughed in the room, something else was happening that most people did not notice at first. Sometimes the important moments do not start with yelling. They start with a smile, a joke, a comment that seems harmless. Then everything changes. The room already felt tense before Donald Trump said the words, IQ test. What had started as a conversation about leadership, power, and responsibility had slowly become something heavier, something deeper, something neither man could easily walk away from. Even the lights above the stage seemed warmer. The audience, which had laughed freely earlier in the evening, grew quieter with every exchange. People could feel the shift happening in time, not because anyone was yelling, not because anyone was angry, because the conversation had stopped feeling like entertainment and started feeling like an examination, a genuine examination of character, of power, of leadership, and perhaps most importantly, of ego. Jimmy Kimmel sat calmly across from Donald Trump. A folder rested beside him. A pen remained untouched near his hand. He was not performing. He was not rushing. He was not trying to win the crowd. Instead, he listened carefully, patiently. That patience created a different kind of pressure, the kind that cannot be escaped through confidence, because confidence works best when nobody asks questions. When the questions keep returning, confidence begins to face competition. Donald Trump spent much of the evening speaking with certainty. Every answer arrived quickly. Every statement arrived confidently. Every challenge seemed to bounce off him without consequence. He talked about success, strength, winning, intelligence, instinct, the qualities he believed leaders needed, the qualities he believed he possessed, and the audience listened. Some nodded, some smiled, some folded their arms, waited because everyone sensed something building beneath the surface. A collision that had not happened yet but was getting closer with every answer, with every question, with every pause. Then Jimmy Kimmel returned to the point again, not aggressively, not dramatically, calmly, steadily, almost quietly. Leadership is not ownership. Leadership is responsibility. Simple words. Somehow they became heavier each time they were repeated. Leadership is not ownership. Leadership is responsibility. The sentence hung in the air, refusing to disappear, refusing to be ignored. Suddenly, the discussion was not about popularity anymore. It was not about ratings. It was not about applause. It became about something uncomfortable, something many people spend their lives avoiding. Responsibility. The responsibility that comes with influence. The responsibility that comes with power. The responsibility that comes with decisions affecting millions of lives. Donald Trump smiled, shook his head, leaned toward the microphone. He laughed at the questions, dismissed them as tricks, traps, attempts to make him look bad. For a moment, the audience laughed too. The energy loosened. The tension cracked. Only briefly, because Jimmy Kimmel was not chasing laughs. He was not chasing applause. He was chasing clarity. Those are very different things. Donald Trump continued. The country needs people, strong people, smart people, people with sharp minds, powerful instincts. Then he smiled wider, the smile that suggested he was about to deliver a line he knew would land. Maybe we should take an IQ test. Immediately the room reacted. Laughter, cheers, applause, supporters erupted. The energy surged back into the room like a wave crashing against a shoreline. Donald Trump leaned back satisfied, confident, as if the conversation had returned to territory, as if the momentum had shifted, as if he had regained control. For a few seconds, maybe he had. The audience fed off the energy. People clapped, people smiled, people looked around. Some seemed convinced the moment had ended, that the challenge had been answered, that the conversation was over. Then something unexpected happened. Jimmy Kimmel did nothing. No joke, no comeback, no remark, no dramatic reaction, nothing. Strangely, that nothing became everything, because silence can become deafening when everyone expects noise. The room waited. The audience expected movement, conflict, entertainment, a response. Instead, silence. A seconds, then a few more. Suddenly, people became aware of something they had not noticed before. The question had not actually been answered. The energy had changed. The question remained, still sitting there waiting. Jimmy Kimmel glanced down briefly, then looked up, his expression unchanged, his voice calm, measured, controlled. When he finally spoke, nobody interrupted, nobody laughed, nobody cheered, because everyone wanted to hear what came next. What came next changed the entire conversation. Intelligence is not just numbers, not tests, not just scores. It is judgment. It is listening. It is responsibility. It is knowing when confidence becomes arrogance. It is understanding the limits of power. Suddenly, the room became very quiet, because those words carried weight, not political weight, human weight, the kind that reaches beyond parties, beyond campaigns, beyond personalities, the kind that forces people to examine themselves, not just the people on stage themselves, because everyone knows someone who mistakes confidence for wisdom. Everyone. We have all seen it. The loudest voice in the room. The person who always has answers, has certainty, always has explanations, yet somehow continues making the same mistakes again and again and again. Most people know someone who dominates every conversation but rarely listens, someone who demands respect without earning it, someone who believes authority automatically creates wisdom. Life teaches a different lesson, a harder lesson, a more uncomfortable lesson. Wisdom and confidence are not the thing. Never were, never will be. That realization settled over the audience like a shadow. The applause faded, the cheering disappeared, the excitement drained away. Not because anyone had won, because something more important had happened. People had started thinking. Thinking is dangerous, when emotion can no longer hide the truth. Donald Trump listened, still smiling. The atmosphere had changed. The room no longer felt like a television event. It felt like a courtroom, not a legal courtroom, a moral one, a place where ideas stand trial, where assumptions face scrutiny, where confidence must compete against evidence. That is when things became even more uncomfortable because Jimmy Kimmel was not asking who was smarter. He was asking a different question, a far more difficult question. What kind of intelligence actually matters? Nobody could answer it easily because there are many kinds of intelligence. The intelligence to build the intelligence, to persuade the intelligence, to calculate the intelligence, to survive. There is another kind, a rarer kind, the intelligence to understand consequences, the intelligence to recognize mistakes, the intelligence to admit uncertainty. That kind is much harder to measure. No test score can fully capture it. No title guarantees it. No position automatically provides it. Yet history repeatedly proves its value again and again throughout generations, throughout nations, throughout eras. The greatest failures of leadership rarely begin with a lack of confidence. They begin with much confidence, too much certainty, too much belief that being powerful means being right. Suddenly, the audience was not thinking about an IQ test anymore. They were thinking about leadership itself. The older viewers watching from home felt it immediately. Many had grown up believing leadership meant sacrifice, discipline, restraint, patience, responsibility, not performance, not branding, not applause. Leadership was supposed to mean service, the willingness to carry burdens people could not. The willingness to make choices, the willingness to accept accountability, even when accountability hurts, especially when accountability hurts. That is when the discussion stopped being about Donald Trump and stopped being about Jimmy Kimmel. It became about everyone, every boss, every parent, every teacher, every manager, every leader, every person trusted by someone. Because leadership exists everywhere, not in politics, not just in government, everywhere. The audience could feel it. The conversation had escaped the stage. It had entered their lives, their memories, their experiences. People began remembering leaders they respected and leaders they regretted trusting. The difference was not always intelligence. The difference was not always talent. Often the difference was character. Character during pressure, character during criticism, character when nobody was watching. Because talent can impress people. Character reveals people. There is a massive difference between the two, a difference many do not discover until it is too late. Then came another silence, this time heavier, the kind of silence that forces reflection. Nobody wanted to interrupt it, nobody wanted to break it because everyone sensed the conversation had reached importance somewhere uncomfortable, somewhere real. Donald Trump remained composed. Jimmy Kimmel remained calm. The audience remained quiet. The tension continued growing, not through conflict, through anticipation. Because one question still lingered. One question refused to leave. One question sat in the center of the room, growing heavier every second. What kind of intelligence matters most when someone's decisions affect millions? Not 1,000, not 1,000, millions, lives, families, communities, generations. The stakes change when responsibility grows. And that is when numbers start feeling smaller, titles start feeling smaller, achievements start feeling smaller because the consequences become larger, far larger. The audience understood this instinctively, those who disagreed politically, even those who supported different sides. Because deep down, everyone understands something. Power magnifies everything. Strengths, weaknesses, wisdom, mistakes, everything. A small mistake in a life affects a few people. A small mistake in leadership affects millions. That reality changed the entire conversation. The room no longer cared who had delivered the line, the better joke, the louder moment. Something else mattered now. Something deeper. Something harder to fake. Judgment. The ability to choose wisely under pressure. The ability to listen before acting. The ability to recognize when certainty becomes dangerous. That realization hit the room harder than any punchline could. Because punchlines disappear. Insights stay. Long after applause fades. Long after cameras stop rolling. Long after audiences go home. The light still shined above the stage. The cameras still recorded. The audience still watched. Everything felt different now. The conversation had transformed. A simple discussion had become a mirror. Everyone saw something inside it. Some saw leadership. Some saw ego. Some saw confidence. Some saw arrogance. Some saw responsibility. Some saw power. Nobody saw exactly the same thing, which made the moment even more powerful. Because the memorable conversations are not the ones that give answers. They are the ones that leave questions behind. Questions that follow people home. Questions that stay in their minds. Questions that refuse to disappear. This question refused to disappear. What kind of intelligence truly matters? The intelligence to impress, or the intelligence to understand, the intelligence to dominate, or the intelligence to serve, the intelligence to win arguments, or the intelligence to make decisions? The room never fully answered it. Maybe it could not. Maybe nobody can. One thing became clear. Numbers can impress people. Titles can impress people. Fame can impress people. Power can impress people. For a while. Character is different. Character survives scrutiny. Character survives pressure. Character survives time. Unlike talent, character cannot be performed forever. Eventually the truth appears. Eventually the mask slips. Eventually actions reveal what words cannot. That realization lingered long after the conversation ended, long after the lights dimmed, long after the audience left. Because the important question was never who sounded smartest. The important question was who understood the weight of responsibility. For everyone watching, that question mattered far more than any IQ score ever could. Because intelligence may open the door to power. Character determines what happens after you walk through it. History has always remembered the people with character.